If you watch my last video, you will see that I went to Speed Vegas in Las Vegas and had an absolute blast racing supercars around their track there. I had such a great time. It frankly was a completely life-changing experience for me. While I've done some racing in the past, this was a real eye-opener that I needed to get into something, and I needed to be at least driving in a way that was fulfilling to me. I have not had a fast car in many years, though I've had several in the past, and it is time to build something. So, what am I doing? I had to weigh some options here. When I got into some of these cars, even these cars with Vegas Exotics, I realized that I am taller than I realize at times, and if you're a tall guy like me or taller, you may have this experience, but I'm just over 6'5", and I just don't realize how tall I am until I have to get into something that is not designed for people my height. So, with that said, that was a contributing factor when I started looking at cars. I wanted to get into a vehicle that had a proven track record, something that is known for being a tracked vehicle, whether on a high level or low level, but something that was capable. I wanted something that was within my budget. I wanted something that was not just a fun car, but something that could be taken to a more serious level. So that opened up options. It opened up quite a few options for me. Some of the vehicles that are dominating some of the track events out there are front-wheel drive, and I've been in the front-wheel drive world many years ago. I had more Hondas than I can count, a couple of them that were decently quick, and it's not something I just don't have interest in running a front-wheel drive car at this point. I'd like to get into something that I can develop a skill set that is transferable to street driving, and I just don't see myself driving a front-wheel drive car in that way in the future. So that eliminated anything in the front-wheel drive category. I also didn't really want to get into anything all-wheel drive, kind of for the same reasons. It's not something I see myself driving on the street, at least at this point in my life. I have had some all-wheel drive vehicles. I had a DSM back in the day, and it was a great car, but there are certain maintenance aspects to that I don't want to deal with, and just wanted something a little more relatable as well. So that kind of crossed those off, left me with looking at rear-wheel drive platform vehicles. I had a look at some older Porsche cars that may be workable, that might be sporty, but it wouldn't cost an arm and a leg. Even looked at some stuff that was probably a little out of my budget, but something I would have considered. Some like the Cayman 718s or things along those lines. And the more I think about this, I'm not trying to bury myself financially, and frankly, because I don't have an extensive racing history, I didn't really want to get into anything too heavy. So another one that I'd considered, just because I am a LS platform fan, was some Corvettes. So you can get a C5 Corvette. They're pretty reasonable these days compared to what they used to be. And so I really looked hard at some of the C5 Corvettes. But because of the height thing, I'm not sure that that's the best move for me. I know that some people, and I know this myself because I've driven small cars my whole life, you'll fit into what you want to. But I'd like to have a little more breathing room in a vehicle. I do want the vehicle to be safe. I want to have room to put a roll cage in it and be able to put a helmet on and actually be able to fit and not have my head just touching a roof or any of that. So I really thought about the Corvette. From what I've read, the C6s have a little bit more room, but then I started to get out of budget and started considering certain things and where I would have to be at to get into a C6. Then you start things start snowballing, and you start thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to get into a C6 and I want to be competitive, is a base manual C6 going to be it? Do I need to get into a Grand Sport or a Z06? And it just kind of started snowballing and feeling like that probably was not the move for me. I also kind of considered what the maintenance required on some of these vehicles would be, and I'm not quite sure that the maintenance on the Corvettes is as easy as I'd like them to be. I've got buddies that work on almost exclusively Corvettes. Not that while I may have buddies that work on Corvettes, it doesn't mean that I work on Corvettes, and it doesn't mean that my buddies work for free. So those were an option that I looked at, but ultimately decided to stay away from those. I also looked at a handful of different BMWs. Like I said, I've done some driving with BMWs, and I have not found a sports inspired BMW, like any M series or any of that I've driven, that I have not had a great time driving. Great cars, great driving cars, I should say. I'm not so sure that I'm in on the maintenance on these things. So really considered those. I really looked at, what generation kind of speaks to me, right? And so I looked at E36s, looked at E36 M3s, and I'm not sure that they quite make the power that I'd like to be at. And frankly, they're getting older and they're getting pricey. And I wish I would have bought an M3 years ago, because they look like they'd be fun cars. Even the E46s, in the area that I'm at, there was some that I really considered. I considered actually going to look at a few of these, and I really started thinking about these. And again, considering maintenance on some of these cars, I'm not sure that would have been the right move for me. The S54 seems like it would be a great car, a great engine, and a great car, and kind of something you could get out of the box and drive, as long as you've had some of the historical and necessary maintenance done on them. But I know they have kind of some rod bearing questions, and there's just some certain things that you need to watch for in those cars. And I thought and went, you don't always know what you're getting. And if I get into a car that ends up needing an engine or needing a major overhaul, at that point, am I in over my head financially for that? And the answer is not necessarily, but it's close enough that it made me think twice about it. I kind of had originally decided that I was going to go for a E46 330 Ci in a manual. And I've actually been eyeing one of these for years now for track driving. It's kind of always been in the back of my head. And so I thought this would be a good time to get into something like that. I looked at a handful of cars. You used to be able to pick one of these things up for, $4 to $6 grand or so in really good shape that had been well maintained, that you could pretty much go and drive and do some basic maintenance on. Nowadays, where I'm at, I'm in a big city, so this obviously doesn't apply everywhere, but where I'm at currently, the current market as of today, they're a little pricier than I wanted to pay. And of course I could drive to another state and look at cars there and do all that, but when you consider what is your time worth, and frankly how flaky some of these sellers are on some of these cars, the last thing I want to do is drive 8 hours out of my way and have people bail on me and spend 2-3 days fighting to find a car and then come back empty-handed, or feel pressured to buy something that I really shouldn't because I'm there and it's in front of me. And so the manual 330 Ci, I looked for about a month and just really wasn't finding anything, and some of them were disappearing off of Marketplace, some of them were coming back up, and the pricing seemed to stay consistent. And frankly, for what was out there for the price, they really weren't as clean as I'd like them to be anyway. So they just kind of look like people were overcharging. So the 330 Ci in a manual was kind of lower on my list at that point. So put a few different cars, in my list. Some of them were some of the Porsche cars, like I talked about. Some of them were Corvettes. I actually tried to go look at a couple Corvettes, and I'm kind of glad I didn't at that exact moment. And then also kept my eye out on some BMWs. I even was looking at some of the older BMWs, trying to keep an eye out even for M3s, seeing what was out there. And ultimately, I really thought about it and went, you know, I know I'm set on buying something and just driving it as is, but I like to build stuff. I like to work on stuff. Maybe it makes sense to actually go buy something that's a project and build it the way I want to build it. I'm not looking to compete in any specific class. I'm looking to build something that's going to get into, you know, HPDE, maybe some autocross stuff, maybe some time trial stuff, but really just wherever I can fit in, just to get on a track and go build my skill set and just have fun. And so I ended up settling on something, and I ended up finding a car that was really basic, but it's going to do what I need it to do. And it is absolutely a project all the way. It is not going to stay the way that it is currently. It's going to be kind of a full build type of vehicle. But when I weighed the pricing of that compared to the pricing of some of the other vehicles that I was looking at, like I said, like the Corvettes, some of the Porsches, even some of the E46 M3s that were out there, this one made a lot of sense, because I thought, you know, I can build it. I can end up with something probably faster, more capable long term, and certainly competitive. And there's no cap on it as far as where it could fit in down the line. So this one really worked out for me. So let me show you what I picked up. This is my 2004 BMW 330 Ci. This is what I've decided to work with. It's got 183,000 miles on it. It's definitely not perfect. It's gonna need some work, but for what I got it for, and for what its purpose is, it's gonna be great. So this thing is in decent shape. It came with a whole stack of maintenance records. The engine and transmission run really well. Brakes feel good, suspension feels good. It does have a little bit of damage here in the rear. It's a little ding in the trunk here, something here, and the bumper's a little crunched, but the bumper was not going to stay anyway. It's got aftermarket taillight replacements in it. And the paint's not perfect. Got some scratches and whatnot, but and a little bit of fading up top. But overall, I feel like even if you were going to drive one of these as is, you get a lot of car for the money. Other side. It does have a check engine light, 4 catalytic converters. For what I'm doing with this car, that does not matter at all to me. And it is an automatic, which again, for what I'm doing with this car, does not matter. Okay, so what are the plans with this thing? This is a automatic car that has a decent engine in it, but I am actually very, very glad that I decided to build a project, because while this thing drives actually very well for what I got it for, I'm gonna get bored with the power level real quick. So here's what I want to build. While I want to buy something, or while I want to build something that is track ready, I also want a street car, and I still do want to drive this thing on the street. So this vehicle, I live in Arizona, so this vehicle to be street driven is going to require AC. It's going to require some level of partial interior in it, at least for now. and I need it to have more power. So what am I doing with it? The plan is to put a LS-based power plant in it. I have a 6-liter sitting in the garage that I've had for a while. I've ordered the Magnum F transmission for it, short ratio. I've ordered some motor mounts for it. I've ordered some headers for it. I've got a harness on the way and engine management on the way. Everything's kind of in limbo currently, but this is the direction I'm going on it. I want it to be an LS-based car, somewhere in the 300 to 400 horsepower range. Keep it real simple, nothing crazy on the car, no power adders or any of that. You know, I'd like to lose some weight in the vehicle, so the sunroof's going to come out. I'd like to gut the rear, half of the vehicle. I'd like to get some different bucket seats in there and just do some basic stuff to lose some weight on the vehicle. I may do some aero and body mods down the line, but for now, I just want to get new power plant in the car and get it running. The car already handles like a dream, so it's really going to be a lot of fun with a little more power in it and an actual true manual in it. It's going to be a blast. I can already tell that, and I'm super excited to get started with it. So it's heating up out here. It's not getting any cooler, and it's not going to be getting any cooler for the next few months. So I need to work quick on this, which is why I've already kind of ordered a bunch of stuff. Like I said, I was ready to pull the trigger on a more expensive car. This car, the body itself basically really did not cost a lot, though it runs. So I'll pull the original drivetrain out, see if I can sell it, whatever, scrap it, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't need it anymore. I've already got the LS sitting there. It just makes sense, and I love the LS powered stuff. It's gonna sound cool, and it's gonna be a fun car, and it should be a cool street car. So the harness that I'm running, or the harness that I've ordered, has provisions to run AC. So the goal is to get an AC functioning in this vehicle with the LS in there. I think that would be really cool. Of course, down the line, it may all get ripped out, and who knows? I mean, the car may get fully gutted and turned into a full-blown track car. I have no idea. But for now, I'd like kind of a dual-purpose vehicle. I don't have the finances to have multiple vehicles where I can have a cool street car and a cool race car and a cool rock crawler and a camping truck and all that. I just don't have the ability to do that. So I've got to make a few compromises to get something that checks at least a few boxes for me. So this is the route I'm going. If you'd like, please, I encourage you to follow along. I will be making videos about just kind of everything, from tear down and stripping everything apart to getting the LS in it. I mean, it's not necessarily going to be a how-to, but just kind of a log of my journey and what I'm doing here. And once it's put together, then we'll get some videos of it at the track, and that's the goal. So if you like it, comment, subscribe, like, whatever, but appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.